Start right away with questions. If you want to lead us off right here, Roshan.
Coach, what did you see from Sean Tucker today?
I saw him doing some fantastic job. He was running well behind his pads, got out a little bit sometimes, did a great job with ball security in the opening games. We're really excited about the way he started.
Yeah, and you mentioned your O-line's been improved. Like, how did that kind of contribute to Sean's success today?
Oh, it contributed a great deal to have those guys out there working together, and they're still not completely at full strength, but boy, did they do a nice job.
You talk about your message to the team after this game. Heard you a little bit on the field, just telling them, you guys matched last year's win total already.
Well, I think the big thing is that we're 1-0, which is really, really good. Wins are hard to come by. Imagine that. And now we get an opportunity to go back home and go to the Dome for 3 games and playing them one at a time, starting with Rutgers. So we're really excited about that.
What do you think about the performance overall? The defense played great. What were your thoughts on both sides?
I thought it was a good performance. The defense kept them out of the end zone for the most part. That's not a gimme football team. That's a football team that's going to challenge for their side of the conference. And they're physical. And the foundation that the Coach Solich has left there and the way they do things, they're really first class. So they're a difficult bunch to beat, and they very, very seldom do they ever quit, and they did not quit tonight. So it was a difficult game for us. It was extremely physical.
Dino, I know you've,
Chris. Chris.
Dino, I know you've coached a lot of guys over the years, but how many DBs had a better debut than Deuce had for you tonight?
His first play was not that good. I lost my voice over his first play, and I'm like, you can't do that. I said some things, all nice. I don't use profanity, so it was all nice, but very highly motivated. But I'll tell you what, you poke that bear, and boy, did he come around and start playing. I mean, I'm not sure I've seen a better opening day performance, especially with how many tackles he had. He really did make big tackles in crucial situations all by himself.
Steven?
You outline what you thought of Tommy's performance and why you ultimately played him up until the game was pretty much over.
Well, the main thing is we just felt like he was doing extremely well. He had a feel for what in the heck we were trying to do. We were basically running the ball and running a bunch of checks and a lot of offense. And I talked to him and I talked to Garrett. We'll get Garrett in the next game. And, those guys will get an opportunity to play, but we're really excited with his performance that Tommy did.
We'll stay on that side and get those two next.
And then with Deuce also, you talked about his ability with the rushing attack, but then him making that that one-handed interception. What do you think he was doing on this field specifically? Just maintaining that part of the field and making sure that nothing was happening.
He was doing a nice job of playing the defense, and he was in the end zone and he had about 8 or 9 guys telling him to take a knee, and he thought that all 8 or 9 of those guys were wrong, and he brought the ball out. And luckily, those 8 and 9 guys know a little bit about Deuce, and they all laid some blocks so he wouldn't get in trouble. And we're really excited about Deuce, but we'll talk to him about the last play.
Coach, this was a very physical game overall throughout the game, even some extracurriculars, maybe a few personal fouls. But overall, how do you think your team's physicality played to your advantage tonight?
You know what? Nobody wants to play a team as good as Ohio to open up the season, but one thing's for sure. We played a physical football team. Hopefully we came out of it with no injuries, and that will get us started, okay, on the type of season, the type of people that we've got to play. So we came out okay. We won the game. Now we need to heal up and get ready for the rest of the non-conference.
Mike?
Hey, we saw Kingsley Jonathan limp off the field after Ohio's opening field goal. What can you tell us about his status?
The trainer told me he was okay, so I'm going to take him for his word, and I haven't had a chance to see him yet, but he was in the huddle with us. So,
what term would you use to describe Chris Elmore's absence today, and is he back next week for you?
That's too much information for me to give my next opponent, but we were really excited to see him out there in gear.
Coach, on the first drive you guys were playing.
Without gear.
So, is it an injury? Is it a personal thing? Can you say anything on that?
I can't say anything on it right now. Okay, go ahead.
On that first drive, you guys were playing really quick offense. And, is that something which you tell Tommy, let's play faster? Or is that something he does by himself?
Well, actually, we have signals for that. He's good, but he's not good enough to just do everything by himself. But, he did a nice job with the different tempos that we had out there.
Steven, then 2 more.
You guys were pretty close to hitting a couple of deep touchdowns to Taj in the corner and then the ball over the top. Is that just early season passing, chemistry needing to build, or is there something that you wanted to see there that would have let those plays click?
You know, you just missed by a couple of inches. You know, it's a close thing. If you underthrow that a little bit, the guy comes back and makes the play, and everybody says, "How come you didn't throw it harder?" You know, it's one of those deals where you barely miss by inches, and that's what people say. That's what this game's all about. Hopefully, we'll be able to connect on those things down the road.
And then Tommy, with some of the reads he was making really good reads, especially on the ones with either keeping it or giving it to Sean. What could you talk about talking with him before the game, or how you think he played in terms of running the
You know, Tommy's been around a long time, so he really does understand the offense. You can appreciate talking to him during the game. He's very calm. He sees a lot of what's going out there. It's not an issue of a lack of knowledge or anything like that. And when he's executing at a level like this, it's hard to take him out.
Last two will go to Mark and Chris.
Offensive line, best game since.
Again, it was a really good game by the offensive line. I think Ohio's a really good football team. The competition level steps up, and we're going to have to see how we do against higher competition.
I know the competition level is going to change, but is there anything you saw today in particular that makes you optimistic or very pleased kind of going forward?
Physicality. It was more physical than what you guys. That was a physical game, and I think that's why some of you saw some of the emotion. Now, I don't like those penalties. I don't like those penalties at all. But if you're going to have a penalty, it needs to be a physical penalty, not an emotional one, but physical penalties. And I think you saw some of that today. It was a hard hitting out there.
Thanks, everybody. We'll get players in a minute. If we can just make a little path right here to get coached through.